This week we've got fresh announcements from Rockford FOSGATE introducing a new Punch Pro series of speakers. Arc Audio redesigns their SW shallow subwoofers. Ground Zero's top-of-the-line reference series now available. RDVFL expands their upgrade solutions to LEXUS vehicles. And BRANDMOTION with a new 7-inch monitor and backup camera. This is CMA Live All Access, brought to you by SiriusXM. And it starts now. Now, last year, we got some big news around SEMA time when Rockford FOSGATE went ahead and redesigned their entire legendary and iconic Punch series of speakers. Well, to follow up to that, they've introduced a new series for you high output fans out there. It's called the Punch Pro series, and joining us now is their product expert, Eric Russell. Eric, welcome to the show. Let's talk about this new Punch Pro series of speakers. Eric, so happy to have you. You know what? It doesn't seem like it was that long ago when we're talking about the new redesigned Punch series of speakers. And this is a follow-up here called the Punch Pro. So what can you tell us about this new Punch Pro speakers?
That's right, Ben. The Punch speakers were a great, phenomenal launch, and customers love them. They also wanted something that had that Punch signature sound, but it had more output. So we went back to the drawing board and fine-tuned our Punch Pro series speakers with brand new cosmetics and additional technologies that we designed perfect for the customers that are asking for them.
Okay. So if I hear you right, these are going to be designed for higher output. Those, girls and gals and guys that want that big sound, windows down, maybe show up at a party outside. So I see you have a couple different models here. Let's first talk about what are the models available as far as this new Punch Pro series is concerned.
Yep, there's 6 models in total. We have a 6.5-inch mid-range, an 8-inch mid-range, and a brand new 6x9 mid-range for those odd size areas. We also have 3 tweeters. We have our 1.5-inch full-scale tweeter. We have our brand new 1-inch super compact bullet tweeter, and then we have our durable 1-inch horn-loaded tweeter that has 2 different bezels, so it gives you some flexibility in mounting.
Okay, so it's not a super deep line, but all the popular sizes, right? You're the 6.5, the 8, a new 6x9, which fits a gazillion vehicles, and then 3 different tweeter options, some really compact ones, and hey, some big ones if you really want that radiant sound. Now, let's get into a little bit about what makes these different from the regular Punch speakers. You talked about testing. You talked about, I'm guessing you guys put these things through the ringer. So let's first talk about the type of torture testing you did, because these could be, if I imagine, and I heard you right, speakers that you could use in an outdoor environment. So what's done to these speakers to make them durable?
100%, Ben. These were designed, they were actually purpose-built, is the way we call it, for outdoor environments. You've seen demo vehicles that have the doors wide open with an array of mid-range in the doors, or maybe even the hatch flipped open with a bunch of tweeters and mid-range. This is specifically what that's designed for. They're also perfect for SPL vehicles in a closed environment where you're trying to get the loudest SPL output to crush that microphone capsule. These drivers are specifically designed for those applications.
All right. What about water? Is that something to be concerned about? And if this is open air, what about fade from the sun, for example?
Yeah, great question. So we upgraded the Punch Pro speakers with protection. So they're UV protected. The cone, surround, and the frames are all protected against UV rays. And they are also light duty water repellent. So they're not submergible, but if you get caught in a light rainstorm, you can wipe them off, close the doors, and get yourself protected from the rain.
You know what I like doing is if I'm in an outdoor environment, I got my speakers exposed and a little shower comes through, I just turn up the system more so the water beads off the cones. I mean, that's part of the cool part. All right. So I do have to ask you some technical questions because, Rockford FOSGATE doesn't do anything without doing everything. And what I mean by that is power ratings, for example. We've talked in the past about your amplifiers using Clipple testing and certification. Is that the same case for the output ratings on these speakers?
Yeah, actually, we're sticking with our 75-watt RMS power ratings, just like the Punch P1, P2, P3. So that way, across the line, you're guaranteed to get at least 75 watts of power handling, no matter what speaker you choose. We also Clipple certify these on the production line. So many people just do their golden sample, like one I have here. but we actually do it for every single model that comes off the production line so that we can verify that the speaker is performing exactly the way our golden sample would.
Well, you know what? That doesn't really surprise me. Rockford Fosgate is a legendary brand, and you guys do the things that no other brand does to be able to, deliver the products that you guys do. So, hats off to Rockford Fosgate for keeping it legit and transparent. I also want to talk about something I heard in the back conversation, and I had not heard this term before, so I want to ask you about this. We're talking about the engineering team, we're talking about the design, and you guys use something called COMSOL modeling when designing speakers. So I want you to take a second and explain to the folks what that even means.
Yeah, COMSOL modeling just doesn't allow us to build a model like you would in a CAD or like a 3D print file. COMSOL is designed to help you analyze what's called multiphysics. So it uses different modules within COMSOL to help model the speaker. So we can look at the magnetic strength around the voice coil and the magnet. We can look at the heat dissipation as the speaker is moving to see how well the vents on the back are for dissipating heat. So we can actually exercise the speaker in real time and virtually see how it's going to perform on the screen, and then make fine-tuned adjustments to that to make sure we get the best performance possible.
My brains are all over the place. That is incredible information. So, all right, if you're just tuning in, we're with Eric from Rockford. Brand new series of speakers, guys. It's the Punch Pro, high output stuff. It's got UV protection. It's weatherproof. It's for that open air kind of thing. Lots of output here. 3 different drivers: a 6.5, an 8, and a 6x9, which is super interesting. And then 3 different configurations for tweeters: small, big, horn loaded. Otherwise, I noticed a little. Is that a crossover in the middle? What kind of accessories are included or are available for the Punch Pro speakers?
Yep, we have a 2-way passive crossover. This crossover allows you to use 2 mid-range for every tweeter. Now, the tweeters are super high sensitivity, which means for every watt you put in, it produces well over 90 dB of output. So because those are so high in sensitivity, we use 2 mid-range drivers per tweeter, and that balances out the system so you have good low, mid, and high range of frequencies coming out of your audio system.
My last question, because I see the picture on that box over there, are there grills available for this scenario as well?
Yep, we have surface mount and flush mount grills for the 6.5 inch and the 8 inch. Now for the 6x9, we have a surface mount grill only, but those are available separately, and they're available to fit all the Punch Pro speakers that I just talked about, as well as Punch speakers for the P1, P2, and P3 drivers.
Amazing. Eric, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us these new series of speakers from Rockford. If you want more information, guys, head on over to rockfordfosgate.com.
Hey, Paul with SiriusXM here, and with 3 easy steps, you can maximize your business. Number 1, make sure you have the current promotional material up. Understand the offer? Make sure your team knows it. 2, have a unit on display. Set the presets to different genres so you can recommend and play the music that your customer listens to. And number 3, think about this. Most vehicles you're replacing the head unit with already has a SiriusXM tuner in it. So adding it just requires an antenna adapter, a SiriusXM tuner. It's a 30-second install and you're done. So there it is, guys. 3 easy steps to maximize every sale this season with SiriusXM.
Now, we all know when it comes to bass, unfortunately, these days, space is a serious consideration. And that's why so many manufacturers have been quick to market with shallow subwoofers. But let's be honest, not all shallow subwoofers, as with all drivers, are created equal. Well, the folks at ARC Audio believe they have the solution. And to join us to tell us about the new SW series of shallow subwoofers from ARC Audio is our good friend, Fred Lynch.
Hey, Ben, it's great to be back at CMA. And you know what? We couldn't figure a better place to talk about the reintroduction of our SW series subwoofers. Yeah, we had them out back in 2019. We had it with just the 12-inch. And of course, we learned a lot with that driver. Customers were happy. People loved the sound of it. People loved the sound quality in a shallow environment with some good output. But with COVID and a few other things that happened, we were given some extra time in order to kind of regenerate things and not just come out with the 12, but now we also have the new 10 as well, both in the new versions with the latest technology. These are an exciting new subwoofer for the sound quality market, for those guys that don't have space and are looking for a great performing higher end subwoofer. And it's a great complementary product to our A series subwoofers that have been out for about the last 4 years.
Now, Fred, we've been talking about gear long enough that I remember when the original shallow subwoofer came out, and yeah, there was only a 12, and then for a while it was like you said the word hiatus. It kind of felt like it was in limbo for a bit. So when I saw the announcement of these new subs, of course I had to get you on here to tell us all about it. Now let's get a couple facts out of the way. This is the new SW shallow sub from Arc Audio, 2 different sizes, right? A 10-inch and a 12-inch. I know you have one there. We're going to get into that in a second, but let's get the specifications out of the way. We're talking a dual 2 ohm and a dual 4 ohm configuration. Now, Fred, they look funky, and I'm obviously everybody's going to see these, is going to have some questions. So why don't I let you, kind of unveil what this new SW sub looks like and talk about some of the cool features.
So, the SW series it's a front motor subwoofer. And, one of the things about small subwoofer enclosures, everybody's like, where that kind of really stemmed from was the truck market doing the underseat subwoofer enclosures. Right. Yeah, like you see in some of the Fords and Dodges and stuff. And that market has grown expeditiously over the years. There's a lot of products on the market. Some perform well, some don't. But the problem, of course, has to do with height and optimizing airspace and getting good performance on it. One of the things about, downfire enclosures for years, we've done it for years. We've done it in things like the open top Jeeps and areas where we needed that loading in order to compensate for not having the transfer function of an open vehicle, like a Jeep if you take the top off or something like that. People started using the same technology and the same box design in order to offset for not having space for a full-size box and doing them underneath truck seats and stuff. So, like, for example, this is the 10-inch. And this is one of the big things about this product is you look at the motor and everybody's like, well, the motor stands off high. And I remember, years ago, people were already starting to use some of our subwoofers and downfire enclosures. And the common question came into how high do they got to make if they're downfiring it like this? How high do they have to make the front of the sub off the floor? Well,
to accommodate for the movement of the cone, obviously.
Well, and also to not create too much excessive back compression by basically suffocating it on the floor or not giving enough space for the airflow out. Well, when we designed this product, the height of this motor right here is actually the gauge for how high the subwoofer actually has to be off the floor. Now, these subs are designed for front-loaded applications. So downfire into the floor, into a seat, back panels, stuff like that. That is actually exactly what these are designed for. They are not designed for traditional subwoofer applications. They are a high-end, great sounding sound quality driver. In fact, actually, we've got a number of our competitors now on our sound quality competition teams using these subwoofers for front subs because of the small airspace requirements, and they can front load them off of the floor. As a result, they're getting great amounts of extensions, small size box requirements, so they're not taking up a massive amount of room in the front of the vehicle, whether it's in a footwell or a remolded glove box or something like that. But the guys that are using these in trucks are loving them too because they do get down. They're not going to be the most efficient subwoofer. We're not seeing these up in the 89, 90 dB range, but they're highly efficient. They take a great deal of power at max, and they take a lot of abuse. So they're great for the guys that want that all-around driver when music quality and overall performance is important.
All right, let's break that down, Fred. You said a lot there, but I want to make sure our listeners, so that if you don't mind, keep on holding that up. So just to be clear, in designing the placement of this subwoofer, we can go right up against the top of that structure.
Yeah,
right,
basically, if this is the floor, just like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, you talked about power rating. So here it is, folks. If you're interested, the 10-inch is rated from 350 to 700 watts, while the 12-inch does 400 to 800 watts. So that's pretty good, but like you could drive a lot of power into this thing. That's number one. Number two, as far as the enclosures, now, according to Arc Audio, correct me if I'm wrong, but sealed is a preferred application as far as an enclosure. And check this out, guys. I want to share this with you. The 10-inch SW shallow is good from 0.4 cubic feet to 0.9, while the 12 is 0.65 to 1 cubic foot. This is pretty impressive size enclosures recommended from the factory for these type, because obviously I talk to every brand and we talk about every enclosure. I'm going to say most shallow subs that I've seen at this price point don't touch down into the 0.4s. They're usually in like the 0.6s roughly. So
Well,
talk to us about that.
yeah, well, and that's the thing is whenever you're dealing with subwoofers, there's a lot of subwoofers that are very, very sensitive to subwoofer enclosure size. We tend to build a lot of our drivers in order to make them very versatile, very flexible, and that way it allows for use in more applications. One thing to always remember is even in a very versatile design, as you start going into the smaller enclosures, you usually end up changing the FS or resonant
Right.
frequency of the enclosure on there. So we can get down to it. And we've had a couple guys already that have done multiples of these and ran more power in the smaller enclosures and been able to retain that lower resonant frequency response. The middle area, like say on the 10, if you can get around about that 0.5, 0.6 cubic foot, these things are phenomenal. And much like the reason why our competition guys are using them, they get down in the frequencies. They play those low frequencies extremely well. And that's what makes these things great. But then, the other thing is, we're talking a depth here of, less than 2.5 inches on the backside.
Wow.
So you can, and there's no vents or anything
No
on the
vent. I was just
backside.
going to say there's no venting
Yeah.
hole there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's actually all on the front.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
but the big thing here is you can put them in the small enclosures. If you want to just make it a bass shaker and just really get that output out of it, put them in the bigger enclosures if you got the space. But it doesn't. It's
Right,
not affecting power handling either, though, and you can sit there and drive power into them all day long.
Well, here's the thing, right? So there's got to be some secret sauce going on here. That's a pretty shallow structure, right? With this giant magnet on the top, which is not common. Let's talk about some of the key engineering features in here. I want you to, in your words, talk to us about what ARC Audio refers to as tempered voice coils, and then get into the magnet as well as the cone material, because I think that's pretty interesting as well.
Yep. So all of our voice coils that we have basically evolved with the technologies into all of our products now, we're doing what we call tempered voice coil technology. And it's very similar to what people do for metal. Anything you do, like if you're using a wrench, for example, that wrench didn't just get punched out of metal and used because it's going to blow apart. They go through a progression of hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold temperatures, and they keep raising the temperature as they do it because it increases the strength and durability of the material. Same goes for certain types of epoxies and adhesives that can be used on voice coils as well as the voice coil material itself. So we've been doing this now since about 2016, 2017. We started with our RS series. And it proved to be such a success that we have, mitigated over into our X2 series speakers and subs. It's been moved over into all of our A series subwoofers. It is now the standard for us because we've seen such a low volatility rate of burnt voice coils and things like that. Not to say that they're bulletproof, but the idea is
They're
do
more
whatever
robust.
make them more robust, make them more versatile, and make them more customer proof. As one of my distributors says, we have customers down here that they have two modes. They have responsible and then they have bar mode. And the problem they have with the bar mode is all they know is the volume goes up to max.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we're here to try to prevent these things from being damaged in bar mode. So,
Right. Now let's talk
the-
about the magnet, because
Yep.
obviously it's a big structure, but if you're thinking about that as the magnet for the structure, it's actually kind of small. So what's going on?
So, obviously to keep size down, we had to deal with neodymium, and neodymium right now is very expensive, especially in large slugs. This is a solid piece, large slug of N52 neodymium. It's actually right there on medical grade, but it's, high temperature rating, so it doesn't affect the performance in BL or the magnetic strength of it based upon the temperature that's being generated from the voice coil. And the combination between that and the larger voice coils that we're using. We're not using small voice coils that you typically find in a lot of these front-mounted subwoofers. I mean, there's a lot of inch and a half. Mm-hmm. If you're lucky, you see a 2-inch. Even our 10-inch here is slightly bigger than a 2-inch, and we go all the way up to a 2.5-inch on the 12. As a result, lots of, the motor and the voice coil work together seamlessly. It keeps it very well balanced and makes it a very, very great performer with minimal amounts of power, which is why we have such a wide range of power applications on it.
All that power to move an interesting cone. First time I've heard of this. So what is that interesting cone material that you're using in these SW subs?
So the cone itself is it is a pulp-based material to match the need for keeping it light and being able to optimize performance. But we have actually combined it with a combination of bamboo and coconut fibers. And
Is
as a
this
result,
sub vegan? I'm just wondering. Is it vegan? Because it sounds vegan.
and no, you can't tear it out and eat it after you're all done
Okay,
anyway.
okay. Fair enough.
But the idea is we were looking for something that had great resonant properties. I mean, if you look, it's got a very unique shape to it that you don't see from other manufacturers. This is, there's a lot of companies that are starting to get creative with the cones in order to allow these things to have a good amount of X-Max. I mean, we're still up in the 15 millimeter range, which is something you don't find typically on a shallow subwoofer.
Mm-hmm.
So these things will produce and put output. So we had to have something strong, something that had good resonant properties that isn't going to sit there and color the sound. And most importantly, something that's going to have reliability, which is why we have the fiber reinforcements in it. And then, of course, it's just done with a composite resin that's injected and gone through all the normal processes. That with a progressively rolled, progressively rolled low shore butyl surround on it. It makes it also good for high humidity environments in different parts of the world, as well as here in the U.S.
Built for car, which is kind of important.
Built for a car. Yep.
Listen, there's so much to talk about. So exciting. Guys, if you're just tuning in, Arc Audio redesigning the SW shallow subwoofer. If you see a picture of this sub, it's the Arc one. It's got the signature look to it. Tons of great features, both in 10 and 12 inch. Last question I have for you, Fred. That's all the time we got today.
Yep.
When can we get our hands on some of these bad boys?
Right now, all you got to do is call up a dealer, or you can go to our website, and both the 10 inch and the 12 inch are available in both voice coil configurations at dual 2 and dual 4 ohm. So you can get them today.
CMA Networks is the premier digital content platform dedicated to the mobile electronics industry, delivering professionally produced programming that connects manufacturers with dealers, installers, and enthusiasts across North America and beyond. From product launches and technical education to in-depth interviews and engaging video content, CMA Networks helps brands tell their stories while keeping the industry and enthusiasts informed, educated, and connected with the world of mobile electronics. Welcome to CMA Networks, where the 12-volt industry connects.
So for the last few months, Ground Zero has had some major announcements, especially with their reference series of product. More specifically, they announced a revolutionary new kind of cone design that we dove into a little bit about the new top-of-the-line reference speakers. Well, guess what? It sounds like we've seen some of these reference speakers out in the wild recently. And more importantly, it looks like they may be available to order. To find out more, we've got our good friend, Jacob Brown from Ground Zero joining us. Jacob, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Ben, thanks for having me. Yes, semi-new thing, but super fun new thing. So yeah, the reference set of speakers we've talked about a little bit here and there. We got to really get to experience them in Austria when some of our team went over to be able to really kind of speak to the level of what was coming. And this past weekend, we got to kind of see them out in the wild, see how they did, see industry reactions to them, and took home a couple of trophies. So yeah, the reference line is here. It's shipping. Super fun.
I remember when you guys came back from Austria with just so many stories and experiences. If you guys haven't followed along, make sure you follow along the 0 Hour podcast. Jacob does an incredible job as the host of that podcast and really, talk about audiophile, just car audio enthusiast stuff. But from where I'm sitting, the reference has always been like that go-to top of the line audiophile speaker. Now, having said that, yes, there is one more level higher. Don't think I ignored that. Obviously, in the Ultra series. But the reference has had a long time following. Like Ultra is new. It's a new kind of series that came out just very recently. Reference has been around for a while. So for Ground Zero to completely redesign the reference, I know that is a big deal, and they put a lot of R&D and thought behind this. And I just want to take some time to cover what makes this new version of reference speakers so special. And then we're going to get into what you were just talking about there, the experience from this past weekend's event. So let's first talk about the reference. What did they do different? What's new?
So one of the big things is when Stefan got hired into Ground Zero, he brought with him years and years and years, and he's going to get mad at me for saying this, and years of speaker design, theory, technology, all that fun stuff. So reference, while yes, we've had reference, this isn't just a new version. It is a complete ground up rebuild of the reference line for Ground Zero. So yes, I mean, you're going to see the ELAC diamond cone on the drivers. You're going to see an inverted dome tweeter, which is a first for Ground Zero. But there's reasons why it's here, and that is all due to Stefan coming in and talking about, hey, this is why these things are important. So his all axis theories of tweeter design got brought into this, and we'll see some trickle down in typical Ground Zero fashion. But really, to just be able to take reference, click delete, re-add all new is absolutely incredible. And to hear them, it is not just, oh yeah, we took the last one and made it better. It's an entirely different ballgame. And I know how much you love the weird, different, fun, exciting type things. This set of speakers is really that. It absolutely impresses. Now, you mentioned Ultra, entirely different ballgame, right? The reference to me is almost like the top tier of what you would see in almost a competition build, right? Like Ultra's a step above. And reference to me is now kind of the new standard. And
can I say something here?
But it's fun.
I feel like Ultra is like uber, like upper echelon stuff, but like reference is still obtainium, sort of.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
To that point, it is in line with other similar thought process style drivers from other manufacturers. So this isn't going to be a price tag that you look at and go, oh, it's outrageously priced. It's something that you're going to see and go, okay, well, that's doable. And then in typical Ground Zero fashion, you listen to them and go, that's not enough money for these speakers. Like they're fighting above a weight class.
I mean, just looking at them, you mentioned the ELAC cone design. For you home audio enthusiasts, ELAC, renowned speaker designer, they introduced this multi-diamond faceted cone material a while back, and Ground Zero somehow got the way to do it and integrate into a car audio system. So that in itself is going to present different characteristics sonically. And then again, for the first time that I remember in any tweeter, in any set of any series, is an inverted dome tweeter. So I haven't had the chance to hear them. I've heard from yourself. I've heard from Nick Wingate, who can't stop talking about them. But now let's fast forward, because that was a couple months ago. Last weekend, big event happened in Texas called Heatwave. Ground Zero was there in full force, full team, on location. But more importantly, it was kind of like a blend of a multi, activity car show with a competition element to it. And you guys not only took home some hardware, but also a couple of the builds featured these reference speakers. So talk to me about that.
So surprisingly, well, there were 3 full Ground Zero builds and 1, I want to say, in transition build, right? So one of the competition trucks that was there is slowly but surely converting over. He's an enthusiast, not by any means associated with a manufacturer, a shop, anything. This is truly a competitor who has kind of embraced the Ground Zero ideology, right? He's a good cat. Shane's absolutely fun to hang out with, loves what we do, loves music, reference tweeters and ultra mid-ranges in his truck right now. And so, sure, he originally wanted ultra tweeters, and this was one of the applications where, we had to make a sacrifice because of the build, right? So reference tweeters and that, absolutely freaking incredible. I mean, a lot of the feedback was, I can't believe what's going on in that. Mm-hmm. Now, the other 2 top tier builds are full reference 3-ways. So Jim's Ram is full reference 3-way, been in the truck.
And I mean, he had plutoniums in it earlier, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the cool thing here, in the way that Ground Zero designed all this stuff, it's bolt in, bolt out, right? Nice. So the swap from plutonium into reference in an established build was super easy, because it really is same tweeter mounting diameter, same mid-range basket. It gave him the ability to take a super solid, beautiful competition-based install and get the drivers in.
Nice.
And he came out and took first place in 2 different classes and 2 different orgs. Amanda Halter out of Tyler, Texas. Basically, same thing. Ground up build, 2 weeks old.
That's the Ultima, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Right.
2 week old build, full reference 3-way, plutonium amps, radioactive 15 IB, like not even
15, a single 15.
Yeah, not even expensive, but not
IB.
Not IB.
Infinite baffle, if you geeks don't know. Yes.
Right. And even then, you know, it was infinite baffle into a trunk, right? So it was trunk baffled, not necessarily IB.
Right.
And the car did incredible. Again, first place in the 2 classes she competed in 2 different orgs.
And were those the only 2 or 3 vehicles that had reference in them?
Yes. Yep.
So what you're telling me is the only vehicles that had reference in them all placed either first. Actually, no. What did the first guy place?
They all placed first.
Oh, they all placed first, right?
In their classes, they all placed first. Across 3 different
categories.
Right. Exactly. So it's not like it was first, second, and third. And on top of it, Jim took the highest score overall in
his Ram.
In one of the with the Ram in one of the orgs that he competed in.
Just because people are probably going to put in the comments, what amps is Jim running to power those reference 3-ways?
It's all uranium amps. So he's got 2
amps.
uranium 4 channels and 2 uranium 2 channels, and then he's got 3 plutonium 10s, 1 front center console, and then 2 in the back ported.
Gotcha. Okay, so to wrap this up, Ground Zero shows up at Texas Heatwave, takes home some hardware, and I guess the inauguration of the reference speakers in competition format goes down. And honestly, you can't really complain with the results because you got the best result possible in all 3 different categories in the 3 vehicles that had the reference. Okay, so if that's not proof in the pudding that these speakers are something to definitely take a good look at, we're talking about the brand new redesigned from the ground up reference series of speakers from Ground Zero. I'm going to wrap this up. Folks, you can go to the website Ground Zero USA to get more info. But here's the biggest question. I know that you had some samples. I know that these competition folks have them. When can everybody else get them?
A couple weeks ago.
Oh, so they're available now.
In stock, shipping, and available at any of your local Ground Zero Elite dealers.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. More info, groundzero.usa.com. Hit up your Ground Zero USA Elite dealer if you want to get you a set of these brand new reference Ground Zero 3-way speakers. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Absolutely, man.
CE Outlook is dedicated to keeping the car audio and electronics industry informed on the latest issues, trends, and product releases. New feature stories posted daily. Visit ceoutlook.com for the latest industry news. If you haven't heard already, screen upgrades are all the rage because it is a new category that we are still, as an industry, getting accustomed to. And one of the leaders in this category is, in fact, RDVFL. CEO Rich DeSclafani now joins us because there is a new application that I think most of you are going to be pretty excited about.
Hey, Ben, always a pleasure to be here, man. Super happy. Really excited to be going over our new screen upgrades for LEXUS and all of the applications that we have available.
You know, Rich, I got to tell you, ever since you started talking about the screen replacement deal, it seems like it's just picking up momentum. There's so many vehicles that have customers wanting to upgrade their screen. And today's announcement with applications for LEXUS vehicles is probably no exception. Now, before we dive into what it looks like, I want to get this part of the way, folks, because this particular LEXUS application, Rich, is deep, like a lot of vehicles. So instead of getting you to remember this off the top of your head, let me just go for the record. We're talking about RX from 09 to 15, ES from 13 to 21, RC from 13 to 19, IS from 13 to 19, GS 12 to 20, as well as LS from 13 to 19. Rich, that is a huge amount of applications.
Yep, absolutely. And actually, we do cover RX up until 2022 as well. So there is an application for LEXUS RX from 16 and up also.
And
so
RX
really,
is such
really
a popular,
nice solutions, man.
So many of these cars we all see on the road. And the opportunity here, if you're just tuning in, is to offer the customer or the opportunity to be able to upgrade the factory screen. Guys, if you haven't figured this one out, go back and look at some of our other videos. Lots of different applications for Ford, Chevy, trucks, so on and so forth. But this one's unique because it's touching on LEXUS. So Obviously, you have one with you. Let's talk about what it looks like and just go run through real quick what it's all about.
Yep, absolutely. So this is one of the screens that we have available for the LEXUS. You can see really, really nice, thin, mounts directly into the factory location where the factory screen was. They are all plug and play, so install is really, really straightforward. They are fit and molded to match the dash. So really, really nice solutions as far as aesthetics. And, these give you a phenomenal upgrade because all of these vehicles did not have CarPlay or Android Auto at all. So now you get wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, and you get a ton of features with a beautiful screen that fits right into the OEM location and essentially looks factory and gives the look that the vehicle should have had, from the factory to begin with. So,
a lot of these older vehicles have these smaller screens. They're not even touch screen, right? Because they have these control mechanisms or whatnot. So now you get touch screen, you get a bigger screen, you get wireless Android Auto and CarPlay. And this is the part I always want to repeat because we do get a lot of comments about this, Rich. You are not replacing the factory radio, so there is no loss of factory features. I just want you to reiterate that.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, this is not a full radio replacement. This replaces just the screen itself. So you use the factory radio through the new screen. The factory radio does not become touchscreen. So you still use the same factory controls to control the factory radio, but all of the new features that the screen provides and offers are done via touchscreen. So you could actually use them with the factory controls or with the touchscreen. So all the new features that are added with the screen are touchscreen controlled, and then the factory radio you use through the new screen. So yes, you don't lose any factory features, whether it's backup camera, 360 camera, all that stuff's retained. Your audio system is retained. So it's very unintrusive in that manner to the factory system and the factory amp.
For me, Rich, this is all about awareness. The more we talk about it, the more dealers get to know about it, the more consumers get to know about it, that this is even an option. And I see RDVFL continues to expand their lineup of applications. And I have a feeling there's more down the road. I'm sure you can't tell me yet, but you'll have it here first on CMA when Rich comes up with new applications for sure. So once again, this is RDVFL introducing new screen upgrade solutions for select LEXUS vehicles. I say select, but it's a lot of them. Go to the website, rdvfl.com, to find out your applications, put in your make and model, and whatever solutions they have will pop up. The last question for you, Rich. This is going to be, for me, I think it's going to be pretty anticipated here. What is the timeline of availability on this particular solution?
So they are available now. All of the applications that we have spoken about are in stock and available now, direct or through distribution. We do have distribution that has them in stock ready to go as well. So whether you deal with one of the EDA distributors or you purchase direct or from Importel in Canada, they are readily available and are selling now, shipping now with a 3-year warranty.
There's an incredibly strong network of distributors across Canada, and today we're here at CMA Expo to speak with them and get a sense of how they feel about their partnership with SiriusXM.
SiriusXM helps connect our industry because we are reproducing music. We are delivering content in a different way. We deliver hard parts to consumer. They deliver us the content on those hard parts.
It's a great add-on for the head unit sale, and it's pretty much just a natural addition now to offer it to the customer after they purchase a new head unit for their car.
As a distributor of SiriusXM, we all benefit. As partners, they offer and bring to the table the love of music. We're all in this industry because ultimately we love music.
They've been a great partner, and they've actually created a lot of excitement again in the industry.
It really brings the whole industry together, and it's music-based. It's great. That's what we do. We sell music. They provide content that's fabulous.
So if you're not in the business of outfitting commercial vehicles, well, I certainly would recommend you look into it, because I'll tell you what, so many retailers are finding success in this category. And they're doing so because there's great equipment that is available to be solutions for the problems that these folks have. Now, today we're talking about a specific brand that specializes in this category. Of course, we're talking about BRANDMOTION. We're talking about a specific model that is very budget friendly, that does the job, and it's got some new, fresh features to talk about. Joining us now is their product expert, Jamaka from BRANDMOTION. Jamaka, welcome back to the show as always.
Hey, Ben. Thanks for having me back again. Great to be here. And today we'll be talking about the FLTW 7000 and the 7-inch monitor and how that is another budget-friendly version to get that visibility you need when you're driving down the road.
Jamaka, always nice to have you on here, especially when we're talking about getting better safety features onto vehicles, whether it's commercial or consumer. Today we're talking about a combination of a 7-inch monitor along with a backup camera. Now, let's be honest, this is not a reinvention. This is not a new category. This is stuff that is very important. But the team at BRANDMOTION has introduced a revised version of said product. It's called the FLTW 7001 or 2. We're going to get into that. This product here, the first thing I want to ask you is some folks just don't get who would want to put this in their vehicle. Please tell us, who is the main customer for systems like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for this system, it's designed for the customer where they don't want to go out and spend a lot of money on a 360 system that stitches everything together, and they just have the basic need of, I need to see what's happening behind me. Or they want to add more cameras in the future and have that flexibility. So this is that budget-friendly option to get that visibility and get everything you need out of it and nothing you don't.
Yeah, so many applications I'm thinking of when you say that. So let's break this down. Let's first talk about this kind of redesigned, refreshed look on this 7-inch monitor. I gotta say, it looks very, very slick and modern.
Yeah, we took some pointers from the original and tried to make it more current to today's time, more modern looking, but still maintaining that complete metal surrounding so that it is heavy duty, so it's good for the commercial market without sacrificing the look.
All right, while we're talking about performance, obviously this comes with a camera. What type of resolution and what kind of performance can we expect from this camera that's being mounted exterior, right?
Yeah, so this system is full 1080p, high definition. Both the monitor side and the camera side are full 1080p. So you're still going to get that nice crystal clear image. And the camera also has a built-in microphone. So you can hear through the monitor, if someone's giving you directions from the microphone or anything like that, that'll pass through as well.
I can't help but think of somebody saying, "No, please don't back up into me," and you'll be able to hear them before you actually hit them. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so I have this thing installed, this beautiful 7-inch screen on my dash. I got my 1080p resolution above the camera that I've placed. I can see very clearly what's behind the vehicle. You talked about expansion, so let's talk about that in two different ways. Number one, how much can I expand and how much can I grow this system into if I want to add more cameras, for example? And I'm going to ask you because I was pretty impressed with the trigger wires on that 360 view. Is that feature also available with this system?
Both good questions. And for this system, we'll tackle the first one first. There's two part numbers. So you have the FLTW 7001 and you have the FLTW 7002. The reason for that differentiation is with the 7001, it allows up to 4 cameras to be connected to it and has built-in DVR. So we do sell other cameras, so you can always expand on the system, install side cameras, dash camera, front camera. So it is a nice customizable solution. And then for the 7002, it is a 3-channel monitor with no DVR. So if your primary objective is you just want to see behind you and maybe your sides, and that's all you need, you have that budget-friendly option to get your 3-camera view and be great on the road. Now, with these systems, to answer your second question, all of our cameras and monitors have those built-in trigger wires, so you can easily connect it to your left turn signal or right turn signal triggers and or your reverse trigger, so that you still have that hands-free camera activation as you're driving.
Yeah, it's seamless, really, because if you're going to click right because you want to change lanes to the right, well, then yeah, that right, blind spot camera should turn on, and that is an absolute great selling point when showing this to a customer and really showing that it's a full solution. Now, I have to ask the question. Obviously, I'm referring to the surround view top of the line system. Does it have, even if I added all 4 cameras, will I get that bird's eye view like the 360 or no, not at this level?
So at this level, you won't get that bird's eye view. That is high function that's taking place with a small computer inside of the 360. So you don't get that with this. So that's why you have that trade-off, and this is your budget-friendly option versus the full package bells and whistles of the 360.
Nonetheless, it is expandable. Although the system comes with only one camera, depending on which model you choose, you can go up to 4 different cameras on the same system, which is nice. So
Correct.
just to review, guys, we have Jamaka here from BRANDMOTION. We're talking about the FLTW 7001 or 2 7-inch monitor plus camera system, expandable up to 4 channels or 3 channel if it's more a budget requirement, 7-inch widescreen, 1080p resolution, up to 4 input trigger wires with a refreshed, sleek design. Last question, is this unit available? I haven't seen it yet on the website, but is this available soon? And where should people go get more info?
Yes, so this unit will be available on websites starting July 1st. And again, you can get that directly from brandmotion.com. It leads you to our partner site, Crutchfield, or you can get it from e-commerce, Amazon, or eTrailer. And then every distributor will have this in stock as well.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode of CMA Live All Access, presented by SiriusXM. Make sure to check out all our videos on cmanetworks.com. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, connect.